Hello, it's Rachel at From Moments to Milestones. We have a new paper pad card kit featuring Paper Rose Studios. We have the Woodland Christmas. This is the card kit that if you purchase, you'll get. I'm just going to open this one real quick and show you what you'll get. So you'll get the remainder of the paper pad. So you'll get the scraps and the pieces I didn't use. And then you're also going to get this 6x8 die cuts and sentiments. And we are going to use these, not all of them, but some of them on the card. So you get to keep what's left over. Now, some of my cards that I'm going to make today will look a little different than the original because I'm just going to use one of those sentiment die cut packs. So I'll show you how, like this card, for instance, there's only one raccoon. So I think I'm going to use the squirrel in its place. So you could kind of copy these designs and use some more of your scraps. I also in the back have a list of all the supplies I used to create the kits. So somehow we are going to start with this card here. And I have a picture of it because I don't know what happened to my original. I'm wondering if someone maybe accidentally took it home in class the other day. I don't know, but here's a picture of it to follow along. And this is one that is not going to look like my original sample because this is one of those die cuts, had a gingerbread house. These are all die cuts. So we're going to change it up a little bit, but same idea. And this one is a shaker card. So I'm going to get a tray here. Put my pieces in. So let's see. So like I said, mine's going to look quite a bit different. And you know what I don't see in here is the acetate. All right, so I went ahead and I have a piece of acetate cut now. I'm just going to get rid of that tissue paper that's with it. So some of the first things we're going to need to do are you have some pieces of candy die cuts. So you've got 2 of these. And you need to glue the little peppermint stripes on top of each one. And then you have some scraps of holly paper. These may look different than the ones you have, but you should have some scraps. And so here on this example, these holly leaves that are poking out in these 3 spots are leaves that were die cut or fussy cut from these panels. So like right here on this one, there's a group of berries and there's 1, 2, there's 3 different. I'm going to cut those out as a bunch. You have a very similar bunch here. I'm going to cut those 3 out. And then I may just come over here, like here's some berries and 2 leaves. I'm going to cut that out. So you're probably going to need at least 3 bunches. I have a single leaf here. So maybe 3 and an extra leaf, whatever, you may start putting it together, wish you had more, or realize you don't need as many. So it's up to you, but I'm going to go ahead and go in, and I did not leave a border. You can if you want, but the beauty of not leaving a border is you don't have to be super exact, and nobody's going to know what you left out or didn't cut. Maybe it's not this one. Like this one here, this has this leaf. And I'm just going to cut along that, and nobody's going to know that that was there and in the way. We'll be looking that close. It's just a way to have greenery that matches really well that we didn't have to die cut. Okay, so I have 3 bunches. I've got a single leaf and 3 other bunches of hollies with berries. And I put together my little candies. And if you didn't find, you would have extra of this paper. It has wood on one side and hollies on the other if you didn't find what you wanted in your scratch. So you really should have had enough to get something similar to this out of there. So this panel I'm holding here, I'm going to set off to the side and completely forget about it. It actually is supposed to go on the bottom of that window panel that's right below it, the red. You will have a grid pattern. Glue it to the bottom and trim off the excess. So then our next step is going to be, we need to put that gingerbread in our card. And so to do that, we're going to use, you have a paper that is more like a grid. I ran out of that paper, so I'm going to use this peppermint stripe. And so we're going to put this down, and it's just going to be centered, and we're going to use that as a guide to place. Now yours will be in one piece. This was a piece I didn't use to make a card, but I'm going to go ahead and use it today, and nobody's going to know it's cut. Yours will be in one solid piece, and it should fit right inside that circle. So you're going to use this as a guide. I'm actually going to tape that together on the back. Make it easier. You won't have to do this. So I'm just doctoring up this piece that I made earlier, but I know there's a little scarf piece I want to match up. All right, so you'll have a piece like this with a gingerbread house. And I'm going to go ahead and put glue on the back. And I have that panel. I'm not gluing it down, I'm just using it as a placeholder. So I'm going to center it on there. And then I'm going to put my circle inside. Press it down, and now I'll have it right where I want it. And go ahead and peel this up. I have my circle right where I want it. So this piece, you should have an acetate piece we're going to glue to the back of that panel. Just gonna, and if you have score tape, sometimes that's good because it dries really fast. But this wet glue, I'm not going to use a lot of it. Should dry relatively quickly as well. So we've got the acetate there. And then what we're going to do is get some foam. I'm going to use some foam strips. Oh, I did not get that on. Well, that's fine. I just need to trim. I can see acetate here. I did not get that straight. There we go. Okay. And so now you're going to use some foam strips, and in order to make them more pliable, I'm going to pull off the backing. And I'm going to start right here on the circle, and because that backing's removed, it'll just round around that circle real easily. And I'm just going right up to the edge. Do that again. I'm going to butt it up because our shaker piece is kind of a glitter. And so you don't want to leave any opening for that glitter to get out. All right, and then we got one more. I'm not going to remove the backing on all of it because I don't think I need all of it. So butt it right up against. All right. So we've created that part, and then we also need to add foam around the edges so that it's all level when we go to put our card together. All right, so I have foam all the way around, and I filled in kind of the corners and put an extra piece there. And then what I'm going to do is, this is your glitter. There's probably some static in there. I'm just going to take my scissors and cut off longer ones and just cut off the top so that it can easily pour. And I'm going to pour it right in the center, so you'll have your gingerbread house, and you're going to pour it right on the center of the gingerbread house. Trying to keep it all contained. Okay. And then over here, we're going to remove all the backing from this panel. All right, I've got all the backing removed. I'm just going to flatten it out a little. I just want to keep it inside the circle. And then I'm going to lay this right back on top. And I'm going to press around real good that circle to seal in those shaker bits. And now you have your little shaker card. Okay, so now we're going to decorate it. You know what I don't have? I thought I did not grab. So I'm going to go ahead and grab I have my scraps of the things I didn't use from my own kit in here. I thought I added them in. So what I need is some kind of die cut. There is an owl. So in this little image, there's a bear and an owl. And I think I may just add the owl right there. That will work. And then we need a sentiment. So there's several of those in there. So I don't know if I want, there's a green one. I have a red one left. This one says, let's do that. I like that. Happy holidays. Let's see how that looks. All right, and then we have all the holly that we die cut. So we're just gonna start filling this in. And what I also don't have is this little candy cane. You should also have, so when you do these kits, I guess I failed to mention that part. You're gonna have to go in and pull that die cut kit that I told you about and pull those pieces. So you're gonna need to pull the gingerbread house, the bear, the candy cane that's facing to the right, and the sending lots of love. And they are connected in that die cut pack, and I just used a craft knife and just cut through where they're connected. You could use scissors as well. So you will have to do that. Kind of forgot about that part. And then we have the candies. Okay, I don't think I'm going to need that one. So I'll get rid of that. And on my sample here, I know the only thing I die cut one or popped up one of these candies. So this front candy and the sentiment, and everything else was flat. So what I'm going to do is just put a single foam square in the center so I can tuck things. Then I'll have an idea of placement. So it kind of just goes the bottom center. And then everything else we're just going to glue on. That one was there. Yeah, let's do that. But really, with that whole other sheet of holly, if you wanted to die cut it, if you wanted to, then you'd have lots of fun greenery pieces. Now, I will say on mine, which I don't have the sample, I don't know where it is, I'd love to show you, but I put glossy accents on the red stripes of my peppermint. And then you can see on these die cuts, they have like embossing on them. So it really makes it look like it matches. So I'll probably do that after I glue them on. Here and one tucked. Oh, this one will get put on foam. Wondering if I want that over here by him. I think I do. I think I'm going to pop up that other one too. I will say this paper is what is the word? It's kind of got a glossy finish. I'm not a huge fan of that typically, but the one part it is nice for is that when you glue something down, you've got a lot of time because it takes a while to adhere. So that worked out for me. I still feel like it's missing something. If I had another piece of candy cut, which I do, maybe I'll go back in and add another piece of candy just because, you know, we have the candy cane and the bear. I feel like it's missing something. But anyway, if you made your card like we did on this one here, you would just have the greenery and the candy and you'd be finished. I'm going to show you. I just used some glossy accents here. And I'm just, so maybe by the time we're done making the rest of these cards, this one will be dry. I'm not sure. I'm just going to go over the stripes. And you could go over those holly berries too, I think would be pretty. I might do that. Put some here. All right. And that card is finished. Okay, so our next card is this Christmas Wishes. So you will need to get into your die cut pack. You're going to need the candy cane that faces to the left, the circle with the raccoon with the Santa hat, and the pink Christmas Wishes sentiment die cut. So you need to find those three pieces. I'm going to dump out my kit here. This is another one that's going to look slightly different. I use different papers, but it's the same card. So we are going to start by putting, you'll have a piece that is this with all the animals and pink in the background. And you have this upside down T, and you're going to glue that right to the center of the center step card base. Yes. And then you're going to have two peppermint striped papers, which I think your stripes might be going the other way. From my sample, I must have cut something different when I cut the actual kits, but it's fine. It looks just as good. So you're going to put those on those side strips of the center step card base. All right, so then your card looks something like that. And then I'm going to use, so you have your raccoon, I'm going to use my little squirrel. And I'm kind of lining up the bottom of the circle with this imaginary line across there. And I'm only going to put glue in the center. I didn't pop it up. And it's just going to go in the center. All right, so now it looks like this. And we are going to embellish. So you have this big bow ribbon ends, or the ribbon ends and the bow. And they are going to go at the top of the circle, like so. Now, if you want to, you can pop it up. I think I did. I have strips that I'm just going to cut down and just put on the thicker parts of these items. Let's see. Put, yeah, one here in the center. All right, so I've got just foam on a few different places where it's thick. I'm going to start with the ribbon tails. And we want it just, that's going to go there and there. Now, I'm realizing that I put foam on the back of these right here, but if I stick it down, then I can't open my card. So I don't really want to do that. So I'm going to see if I can pull them off without damaging anything. Yep, so you just want it on the bottom here where it touches and in the center, and the rest they're just going to kind of hang out. And if you want, you could glue them down in those two places and just kind of make them a little sturdy. And that'll keep them from flying off too much. So there's the ribbon tails. And then I just have it on the two top thick parts of this bow. And I'm going to put wet glue in the center of that. That is going to go just like so. So there's your bow. And then you have a sentiment here. You would have the other candy cane, which I've used both of my candy canes, so I won't have one, and I'm okay with that. He can just be there holding nothing. And then you have all these greenery pieces. So you have 4 of these evergreen boughs. You're going to put 2 on each side. And you should have 2 of these green pieces. And you should have 2 hollies, which I do not. I'm going to check in my scraps over here from class to see if I have anything that I can use. And I do. They're not the right color, but I'm going to use them anyway. We have some blue-green hollies. So let's just try those out. Yours will be this bright green. So I'm going to do that same thing. I'm going to put a piece of foam in the center of the sentiment so that I can tuck things behind. I'm going to go right there. And then all of this is going to get glued down. Like so. Now this die cuts all of these pointing the same direction. So if you want them to kind of round around, you're going to have to flip over your die cuts and put them down upside down, which is not a big deal. It does have a little bit rougher of a back side, but if you want to take a bone folder and gently flatten them out, it can help. You can leave them as is, or you can use them the right side up. I'm going to flatten mine out. Gently, because you don't want to rip them. And it just flattens them so they don't have that round feel. So I'm just going to do that on 2 of those, and then that way I can put them in here and they will, I can kind of mirror the same thing. So let me go ahead with the glue. And these, I am going to trim these off. These are a little long. A little bit off so I can tuck those in. I have it one in front of the other, so like that. And then your hollies are going to come out of the bottom. And I think I can get away with that blue-green just from the blue-green in that tree up there. Hopefully it look all right. And then you're going to finish your card. You have these flat back sequins, and those are going to be like our holly berry leaves. So I am just going to place 1, 2, 3 on each side. And there kind of is, for them to be flat, there is like, there's a little lip on them, and it kind of curves up like a little edge. And so you want that up for them to glue flat. You can glue them either way, but you're probably going to need more adhesive if you try to glue them the other way. One in there. Some more glue there. There are the pretty berries. All right, that card is finished. I like the other version. It's cute. The same design, different papers. It just shows all the things you can do with the leftovers in your kit. Our next card is Joy, Love, and Hugs This Christmas. And this is a full-size shaker card. And we are using pre-cut shaker covers from Pink and Main. So these are the A2 shaker covers, and it is the full size of an A2. They do make other sizes. They make some slightly smaller circles. I think they even have a, oh, why can't I think of what that's called? The long skinny card? I don't know. Can't come up with that right now. But anyway, we're going to start with that here. So this is what it looks like. And I had to fold it up to get it in your kit. And there is a protective film on the front. We're going to leave that on while we work with it just to keep it protected. And then we can remove it when we're done. So this is a paper from your kit. It has the sweetest little scene on there. And what we're going to do is we want to get that scene in the center. And then these pieces will fold up, and there's adhesive on there. And we're going to close it in on the back. But as I'm folding this, so it folds flat, and this one folds flat, but when I'm trying to fold this one, it's buckling my card. So it's ever so slightly too big. So, whoops. Oh, Oh, I just knocked the camera. Sorry about that. Let's get you back where you need to be. Okay. Jeez. So I'm just going to shave off just a little, which I tried to do when I cut the kit, but probably not enough. So now those two sides fold flat. This one does, and I think we'll be good. So that's what we're going to do. I'm going to start with the bottom. So I've got my card in there. I'm going to get it centered. There are scored lines where it, it folds. I'm just going to try to center that on there. I'm going to pull off the backing from the bottom only and fold it over and give it a good press. Grab my phone folder and make sure it's pressed on there good. So there's the first one. And then I'm just going to choose a side. Same thing. Other side. Perfect. All right, so now what you end up is this. I'm going to leave the top open so we can pour our shaker bits inside. So I'm just going to cut those off like I did before. And I'm cutting that off. If you pull off the sticky and then try to pour it, all those things are going to stick to the sticky. So it's a lot easier to just cut it open and dump, just like so. And I'm going to fold it flat and fold over the top and seal everything in. Now this is the nature of the shaker piece, because there's still going to get air in those four corners. You're going to see it kind of fills full of air. So it has a little bit of dimension, but you can get it to fold flat if you really want it to, but then the air comes back in. But that's just the nature of it, but it's still fun. It's a super easy way to make a shaker card. And now that part is done. We're going to peel off the protective film, and I like to start, it actually covers the whole front and then wraps around each tab. So I'm just going to take a sharp edge and get it started and pull it off. So it should pull off one big piece. And now you don't have that haze anymore. Got your fun little shaker. And we're going to take this piece and glue it onto our white card base. Just like that. I would suggest some form of like double-sided adhesive or score tape. Something that has a good stick, and you want to get all the corners because of the way that wants to rise with the air. You want to make sure you're getting it's down real good. And the wet glue just takes too long to dry for me. You would have to put it on and then maybe put something heavy on top and walk away and let it dry. But I want to be able to move on here. So I'm going to go around all four corners, or four edges. I'm sorry, these aren't corners. And I'm going to put some in the center as well. All right, so I'm going to burnish that tape on so that hopefully the backing peels off easy. So let's peel off the backing and we'll get that on the card base. All right, making sure your shaker is going the right way. We're just going to line it up. Just like so. Give it a good press. All right, now you have a fun little shaker wintry scene. We need to embellish the front with our sentiment. So I have the Joy Sparkly White sentiment, and that's going to go or die cut, it's going to go right on top of the red shadow. I'll put glue on that. All right. It's going to go right in the center. So there's the joy, and we should have love and hugs this Christmas. And I'm just going to take my scissors and snip that down. And I'm going to put some foam on the back of that. You don't have to if you don't want to, because this card already has some dimension, but I can never seem to say no to foam. We're going to put that on, and just right across the bottom, the word joy. Okay. And I'm going to go ahead and put wet glue on the back of this. And put that down. And I've just got it up here where I can still see the top of the tree. And it's not quite in the center. And if you wanted, you could put something heavy over it to hold it down. And then you've got two dark green holly leaves, and we've got those red flat back sequins. They are berries. And so we're just going to tuck those in. One coming here up from the Y. And then we'll just bunch up the sequins there. All right. So that card is finished. All right, our next card is Joy, Heaven and Nature Sing. And in this card, you should have a panel that goes here. And then you should have another fraction of this panel and this one. Because I'm working with the scraps of my kit, I don't have a second, because here's one sheet of paper, here's two, and the third one I used for something else. So anyway, I'm going to make mine work though. This part, what you're going to do is fussy cut around both images. So I'm going to do that on this one. And then you're going to pop one up here in the corner and then one up where stuff already is. But since I already have that there, I think I may glue them flat and try to get the same look. Just a way to stretch. If you really like this card and you wanted to make it again, you should be able to. So I am leaving some of that color on the border because it's the same as, it is from the same paper. So it'll make your cutting easier. You don't have to get super detailed. I find it easiest to kind of hold my scissors and move my paper as I close my scissors down. All right, so that piece is cut out. You would have a secondary piece to cut out the same way and that would fit right on top. But once you get both of those done, we're going to go ahead and put down this green cardstock onto your white card base. All right. And then you're going to put this panel down. And mine does have that corner missing, but we're going to hide that. Nobody's going to know. Just like so. And then this piece can go right over the top. And I might go ahead and pop that one up. All right, so I put foam on the back of that and removed all the backing, and then I'm just going to line it up here in the corner. Awesome. And then the word joy just fits right inside of both of those. So I'm going to go ahead and put glue on the back of that. That is straight. There we go. And then the same thing, you have the heaven and nature sing. I'm just going to trim it down. There's a little crooked. There we go. And I am going to put foam on the back of that. And it's just going to sit kind of across the center. I'm going to need a little bit more under there. All right, now this card I finished off. I put glue on all the berries and just added some clear glitter. You could also, I think for this one, I'm going to try the glossy accents. So I'm just going to go in and put, and you could also put glitter on top of the glossy accents. That card is finished. Okay, we've got one final card. You do have a little bitty, one of those flat back sequins in there. All right, so this one will go together relatively easy. So we're going to start by putting down this green polka dot paper. And you will have a thin white border. All right. And then you have, oh, I don't have the, I'm just kind of working with scraps. So you should have a striped piece of cardstock to go across the center. That's not going to quite cut it. I'm just going through my scraps here. I do have this piece. It's a little thinner, but I think we're going to make it work. I'm just going to put some adhesive and then I'll trim off the excess. So about in the center. So let's see. There. And then I'll just trim off the excess. I think yours should fit. If it doesn't, you can trim it off too. But I went all the way across the card. And then you have this arched panel die cut here. And I'm going to pop this one up. Before I glue it down though, oh no, that fits. Okay, so let's pull off the backing of our foam. I got the backing removed and that is just going to go in the center. The card. And then you have a little snowbank here. Now, if you want, I'm going to just go in and cut a little snowbank. It's that easy. It doesn't have to be a big deal. No right or wrong. And then I'm going to stick that right down on top of the arched die. There it goes. And in your kit, you're going to need to go find the Happy Holidays in red. You're going to need to find the Christmas tree and the little reindeer. Since I have already used those items from my kit, I am going to use this sweet little truck and I think my little penguin. So I'm trying to decide if I want him there and maybe the penguin in front. And then my sentiment down here like so. I think I like that. I am going to glue down. You can see I almost used this another time. I need to fill my glue. Okay. So I have him right in here. Put our truck there. And then I am going to pop up my reindeer or my little penguin. All right, so my little penguin, he's just going to be right here in front of the truck. So, and then this piece, I have popped up a second time. So you could just pop it up on top and put some foam on the bottom, which I will do. But I wanted it to stick up further than that panel. So I'm going to put foam on both parts, but on the top, I'm going to put, no, I'm sorry, on the bottom, I'm going to put 2 pieces of foam. So I'm going to get another piece and I'm going to layer it right on top. Yes. I knew I was going to do that wrong. Did I do it wrong? No, I did it right. Okay. And I'm just going to get it right in the center. And now because it has 2 layers of foam, there's a layer here and now a layer there, it'll lay flat. Now I did give you a red piece. I put it on the little bell of the reindeer. I had someone say in class, what if we put it on his nose? I think that would be adorable as well. I'm not sure that there's really a good spot for it on my card, so I'm just going to hold on to that and save it for another project, and we will call that card finished. That does it for this card class. I hope you enjoyed this what is it called? Woodland Christmas. Yes, very sweet paper pad and die cuts. Lots of cards left to be made from this kit. Just you can see that how we just went in and kind of copied the same design but used different die cuts. Those circles make super easy cards on and the paper that matches. So you definitely have lots of life left in that paper pad and your die cuts to continue making Christmas cards. Thank you so much for watching. If you're interested in a kit, you can look us up at frommomentstomilestones.com and search for our card kits there. I'll leave a link in the box below. We will see you next time. Thanks again for watching.